Okay. All right, it's 7:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, William Johnson.
Here.
Thomas Graffinino.
Here.
Lynn Colligan.
Here.
Lisa Kreckler.
Here.
Phil DiOrio, I'm here. We also have ZBA attorney Tim Hill present via Zoom. The first order of business is to review and approve the January 22nd, 2025 minutes. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so our work session agenda consists of one application tonight, and that's for 9 West Thomas Street, Davidson. Just to, I guess, rehash what we have here, we have an application for an area variance. The applicant wants to put an ADU in their basement, and their lot is a substandard lot, which requires a variance to be able to build the ADU.
I wrote in my notes just 5% shy.
More or less, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
so the
Very close.
Yeah.
lot is 28,400 square feet. The minimum that's required is 30,000 square feet. So it's just over a 5% reduction in the minimum lot area. I'll open it up to discussion. Anybody want to chime in here?
Yeah, I mean, part of this was that they're converting their basement into an apartment. And that was only 600 square feet. And currently the house only has 4 bedrooms, and this will make it 5, which requires them to have this new system.
And it's for their grown sons, I believe, are going to live
Right,
there.
initially, I mean,
Yeah.
but, you know, maybe down the road,
Yeah.
there could be rented to someone else who is
Yeah.
going to perhaps live and work on the island.
Yeah.
And whatever, it increases the housing stock of Shelter Island by 1.
Yeah.
And we did ask them to come back with a laid out parking plan, because if they intend to use it as an apartment with another tenant there, we want to make sure that it can
So-
accommodate.
So really what what we talked about there was that initially, they don't need that parking area. And the reason is that their son is already living with them and parking there, and they have no parking problem. The thing would be if the place is ever rented out. And so I think that we could put something like that in the resolution, that if the place is ever rented out, they must create that parking area that's shown in the parking plan. But at this point, if it's just them and their son, they are already.
All right.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, but we should put it in.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That was a good plan.
Because we don't want to see like street parking. or-
No.
Right.
I don't know, are there other kind of restrictions that any of you can think of that we ought to be considering here tonight? Sometimes, you have to wonder, like, could this turn into a short-term rental? I guess it could.
I don't know
this-
if under the grant, if you're allowed to do a short-term rental. I think it has to be a year-round.
Okay.
That's a stipulation
For
of
a
the
period
grant.
of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's sort of already covered, and I don't know that I would feel comfortable saying forever and ever.
No, I don't think there's a nexus there either under what we're approving and
Yeah.
putting that type of a condition on it.
It's already conditioned by the grant they're receiving, I believe, yeah.
Right. And just, whatever, they're not here for a use variance, I guess.
Right,
No.
right, exactly.
All right, does anyone else have anything else here that we need to think about? I'm just going to ask Tim. Tim, is it possible you could weigh in and just give me some idea if you feel like there's something that we need to be thinking about here on this application?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that the comment that was just made about, the nexus is correct. So, you could certainly ask the applicant at a meeting, their intended use, but, the imposition of a formal limitation on use that would run with the land would be beyond the scope of what they're asking for in the first place, which is governed by the code. So I think it's otherwise straightforward. You have a relatively modest relaxation of the code, and the other standard factors, that you're familiar with should be what governs the determination.
I do know that they are going to have the IA system, so I think
Right.
environmentally, this is going to be a win.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I don't know, I just want to make sure we're not missing anything, that we're hashing everything out here.
But it seems modest and within reason.
Gentlemen?
Yeah,
I'm content. I mean, they came back to us with the parking piece. It's the
Right.
only thing that, according to my notes, that we really imposed on them last at the meeting.
All right,
And they're not increasing the footprint of anything, they're
Right,
using existing.
right.
And so then, Tim, but is the way that we're talking about perhaps doing the parking thing where they don't need to create that parking area today when they have their son living there, but that if they ever rent it to someone outside their family, that they would have to have this parking area? Or do we have to say you have to have it right now?
I'm just thinking about that. I don't think so. I think they could return if they needed further relief on that.
What do you mean by that, Tim?
Well, you're saying that if the parking right now it should be commensurate with what their present intended use is, right?
Right,
That the
so-
demand is based on
Right,
a
but
family
here's,
member.
here's the thing, Tim, is that when they have it rented out to someone, let's say, who's not a family member, that person isn't going to be parking in the communal driveway with the rest of the family. And that's when this other parking area would be required, really.
I see. Okay.
Could we word it in a way, instead of saying if it's rented, if the amount of cars exceeds, like whatever would fit in the driveway, no?
I mean, maybe we just have to put it in that it has to be done now. I mean, that's, we asked for
clean
this.
way.
And that way it's there and it's 100% and it's.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. It's not gonna affect them in a negative way if they do it right now, and.
Just a little extra expense, that's all.
That's all. But it'll be there.
All right, so I
I
think,
mean, I don't think they provided they didn't say if it was gonna be asphalt or anything like that, so,
You just have to call the spot there and remove.
but right now there's stuff there punched.
Yeah, there's a stump there and a big pine tree. They have to take the stump out from one tree. They've been removed years ago, and there's a pine tree they gotta cut down to get enough a car off the road.
yeah, I mean, I think the goal here is to not have cars parked on the street.
Right.
So if that's what our long-term goal is, I think we need to have them.
Okay,
do this.
okay,
Yeah.
that's great. All right, are we ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Head for our checklist here. So would there be an undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties? Somebody gonna weigh in?
No, there will not be. The footprint's not expanding and it's residential.
Okay. Whether benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. Yeah, I would say that for me, this is a no, because
Right.
any other expansion of this house to create a separate apartment would require an increase in the footprint.
Non-conformity.
Right. So I think that I'm going to say no,
Can I,
because,
give me the one sentence rationale for that?
because any other expansion of the house would require an expansion in the footprint of the house.
So their only other option would be not to proceed with the,
Right, right. Whether the requested variance is substantial, it's just a little over 5%. Second,
yeah. So when you look at, we are granting an area variance of technically 1,600 square feet of the lot size.
Mhm.
Numbers wise, yes, that's a large number, but it's also not that large because they're using their existing basement.
Right, so it's a, I have it like it's 0.056, but let me just make sure of that here.
But we're granting the relief from the need for the 30,000 for the ADU,
Right,
which is different.
Correct. That's why it's 16 square foot of the lot size, not
Yeah.
square footage of the house.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
for the
Right.
lot, so,
so I would say the variance is for about 5.6%. So I would say is that a substantial variance?
I don't think it is,
Okay.
but I don't, you don't have to agree.
Lisa, I can see you making a face here.
no. This one's hard just because it's a different type of a variance than we're
Yeah,
used
I
to.
mean, this is definitely different than what we're.
Yeah, than what we're used
Usually do.
So the thing is, so let's say we're talking about an area variance where someone had a 50-foot setback and they were asking for a 5-foot variance. That would be about a 5.5-foot variance. That would be about the same.
Same.
Would you consider that in a 50-foot? Now, if it was in a 10-foot, I would consider it's a huge variance. But look, either way, it's,
I think we should be precise on this because this is our first one for the ADU, and I think,
okay, I don't know how many we're going to see again for substandard lots.
yeah,
But, okay, so whether the requested variance is substantial, I need a.
I think it's
final answer.
not, but I can't.
I would
make that
agree with
decision
you,
on my
Lynn,
own.
but that's, gentlemen?
I don't think it is either, but I
No.
agree with what Lisa's saying. When you think of 5.6%, it does percentage-wise, but 1,600 feet on the lot size.
Okay, let's call it, we'll say,
But I will
Yeah.
go with the consensus of, I don't believe it's a huge, substantial variance.
punch what I,
I feel the same way. It's not, it's in the building
okay.
views. It's not in,
Right, but that's-
extending the outside of
But
it.
that's not what we're,
I know,
Branding, right?
yes.
I know.
I don't care, let's,
You're bringing the system up to date.
yeah,
So I think we're gaining plus because you're putting the new system in.
okay. So what about this? Is the requested variance substantial?
I think it's not.
Okay,
You think it is?
I'm fine with that.
okay.
Okay,
We're going to say no.
No.
okay,
Go with the majority.
So if I could just butt in for a second.
Sure.
please.
Yeah, I don't think this particular factor, when it gets looked at by courts, doesn't need to be applied mechanically. So I don't think you want to be in a position where 5% is substantial or 10% is, per se substantial. Each of these needs to be looked at in the context of
Okay.
what it is, and the mathematical percentage relaxation of the code is a guidepost for that, but it's not doesn't set a precedential standard for how you have to look at every application on this factor. So, there may be an instance where a 10% relaxation is not considered substantial, given the unique character of a particular application. So, whether you vote yes or no on this one factor in this application, I don't think binds you on future applications that may be different.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? I'm going to say it's going to have a positive impact. Just the installation of the IA system will be a positive. And was the alleged difficulty self-created? Yes, it
Yes.
is. They want to construct this. And then we have one condition, and that is that they
Do the parking area.
parking area, that, or whatever, that they build according to the plan, and that the
Yeah.
parking area
Right.
that's indicated on the plan is created. There's
Right.
there's no waiting on that until later.
Parking spot or area?
Parking area.
Proposed,
Parking area.
Are there any other restrictions or conditions that anyone else
Can
would?
you just give me the date of that plan that shows the parking area?
11, oh, no.
It should be dated November 14, 2023, last revised January 25th, 2025.
Okay, what I have here, Christina, is 12525 added parking.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what she said.
Yeah, I got it right here. She's reading it right off mine.
Okay.
All right, and anybody else have anything else to add to this?
No.
No? All right, can I get a motion to close this work session?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. All in favor? William Johnston?
Yes.
Thomas Graffinino?
Yes.
Lynn Colligan?
Yes.
Lisa Kreckler?
Yes.
And Phil DiOrio votes yes. I don't think we have any other business tonight. Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Christine?